friends, Abby Sandell from Appalachian Mountain. I'm here with the first ever edition of Abby Answers, your most pressing baby naming questions resolved. I'm going to start out this series with a question that I got from not one, but two families this week. First mom writes in, "Hi, we have chosen a name for our son. It is Jake. It is not Jacob, it is just Jake, for two reasons. First, our last name starts with B, and we just think that Jacob Baumgartner, Jacob Bishop, sounds awful. And this really aren't the last name, I'm just making those up. But the second reason is that we don't want to call him Jacob. We don't want anybody else to call him Jacob. Why would we put that name on his birth certificate?" Question number 2 from Ashley, really similar. She and her husband have chosen the name Millie for their daughter on the way. And when they started to share it with family and friends, everyone said, "But wait, what's her real name going to be?" Ashley's sister even texted her very helpfully, "Millie is a gum-chomping diner waitress. It's not my niece." Wow, okay, that's strangely specific and not super nice. But that is the kind of question that they were getting, and so they went back and they thought, should it be Mildred, Millicent, Amelia, Emily, Emmeline? And they just keep coming back to Millie. So what do? I want to assure you, both to the parents of Jake and Millie, that you should use the name you love, even if others may perceive it as a nickname. Easy for me to say, but let's talk about this for a little, because when you really think about it, it's the only answer that makes sense. There are some downsides to using a nickname as a formal name, I'll grant you. First of all, people are going to say to you and then to your child for the rest of their life, "Wait, what's that short for?" And they will be surprised from time to time when they find out that it's not short for anything. But that is a minor inconvenience. I think that the more significant shortcoming of this approach is that you do lose a certain amount of flexibility. And that's not really about the parents so much, it's about the child. It's about Millie getting to college and feeling like she'd really like to reinvent herself, but that her name doesn't offer her much raw material to work with. It's about Jake growing up to be a distinguished professor of something quite lofty and feeling like he'd rather be, Jacob on his academic credentials and when he speaks at high-minded conferences and things like that. So it's a flexibility issue for your children down the road. But the upsides are significant. First of all, by giving up flexibility, you gain a lot of simplicity and clarity. Margaret's mom has to somehow explain to every child center and art class and sports coach that her daughter Margaret is really Maggie, and she's got to fill that out on every form and make sure that it's noted somewhere until her daughter is old enough to say, "Oh, call me Maggie." So that's a different kind of issue, and it's one that you're sidestepping when you just put Jake or Millie on the birth certificate. The second issue, and I think this is bigger, is that nobody really gets to choose what's a nickname. That's something that evolves. If we went back in time to a playground from the 1950s and a kid was Jack or Molly or Sadie, there was a pretty good chance that the name on their birth certificate was actually John or Mary or Sarah. It's not a lock, but there was a good chance. Today, Jack, Sadie, and Molly, they are almost certainly Jack, Sadie, and Molly. Our perspective on what's a formal name and what's a nickname shifts every generation, sometimes faster than that. In fact, I would suspect that if you named your daughter Sarah today and tried to explain to other people that Sadie was a nickname, that you would get a lot of crazy looks and raised eyebrows because it's just not information that is familiar to us in 2018. So, upsides, downsides, here's a good way to resolve the issue. If you love a name like Jake or Millie, but are concerned about losing some flexibility, one of the great things to do is to focus not just on your child's first name, but on the full name. Millie Sue, that is super cute and crazy sweet. But Millie Susanna? Millie Catherine? There's a lot there. There's something to work with. And so if it ever turns out that her first name doesn't serve her well, she's got a second name waiting in the wings that she can use. So choose a longer name, choose a name that feels a little more substantial, has a couple more syllables, maybe just a nickname option or two built in, and you have taken care of the whole concern that that first name is just too informal, too casual, too simple. So that would be my best advice for both Jake and Millie's parents. Because at the end of the day, I want to say this loud and clear. Even when other people might perceive your name choice as too informal, too casual, it's your name choice. Even if the name you love is going to be perceived as a nickname sometimes, you should always use the name you love. You cannot go wrong when you do that. I'm Abby Sandell for Appalachian Mountain, and this is Abby Answers. Thanks so much, and I will have some follow-up links and would love to see your comments about what you think. Nickname, formal name, neither, somewhere in between, or do you have a whole other approach entirely? Let me know. Talk to you soon.